for him, Amuna Quaba, Eba, Vibe Africa, Cassia, and so, and some of you Sakan, Sumugunya, Yadebadanga, 44 in Nana, Ama, Santoa, any Midi, and some no emu, and Chumu, any. Now, on now for Paul, Adom Orchard, and what do you send me over to John, what the Cocobo, and I'll call a day Ama, a Ghana investigative journalist, and us. I remember you and us who you say 1 year when you cobo, say 1 year now one far evidence via a mark mountain. The son say and number from to just say and chair and us at the video be a abontain a view. And a fan of one eddy, and us one bit me at no, and I'm so I'm a Paula, don't want your extra. Ghana for anyone else in ye papa, in Chana's ancient ye now one for video be a ama abontain. Yengin to if you now for Paula don't watch it as you.
And all of that, Anas showed all that. The judge says that once Anas has done that, the burden has shifted onto Kennedy Japan under Section 10 because Anas has the burden under Section 14. Once he discharges the burden under Section 10, the burden shifts to Kennedy Japan to establish. Okay, let's move on. So this is the position of the law on defamation. The elements that the claimant has to satisfy in order for a defamation action to succeed. 1, that the words must be capable of defamatory meaning. That the words were actually defamatory. That the words referred to the claimant and that the words were published by the defendant to at least one person other than the plaintiff. And all of that is on page 13 of the judgment. So this is quite simple. The law says that the words that are being discussed must be defamatory. They must also be referring to the claimant. So sometimes it says, so that's where you find in defamation. Somebody says that the person who hosts an evening program on TV in Accra is not sensible. Then I go to court and I say, hey, he's talking about me. I've sued him in defamation. The court will then come here and say that the words must refer to the claimant. So they'll ask you, Mr. Adomoshi, why did you say that it is you? The person said, the guy who does an evening program on TV is not sensible. Why is he you? And I said, I do an evening program. I said, but you're not the only one who does an evening program. And he didn't mention your name. So there, I will fail on this level, which says that the words must refer to the claimant. That's why it's very simple for journalists to avoid defamation. I tell them all the time, just use certain words. If you understand the defamation, just use certain. People ask me all the time, you're always shouting on TV, you don't get sued. I said, because if you look at it, it's not that people don't try to sue. They do. But if you look at the material, you will find that in these listings, you will find that there's a problem there if you want to pick up a real defamation suit. But anyway, let's move on. All right. Defense in defamation action are the following. So these are the defenses that can accrue to anyone in a defamation action. Please put on the screen. Let's read with the viewers. Okay. 1 is an absolute privilege. So something like absolute privilege is the one that Parliament has. So if Sam Nate George is standing in Parliament and says, Paul Adomochi has done I can't actually sue him, you see, because he has an absolute privilege as a member of Parliament. So members of Parliament, when they speak in the Chamber of Parliament, cannot be held for defamation. The law is so that they can have the peace of mind to do their work, and they will not have the intimidation not to be able to speak about certain people. So if tomorrow Mubarak Muntaka says that he stands on the floor of the Parliament and says anything at all he wants to say about me, I cannot sue because he has the absolute privilege of a member of Parliament. Then there's a qualified privilege. A qualified privilege as a defense for libel is one in which, say, President of Ghana cannot be sued. A President of Ghana cannot be sued until within 3 years after his leaving the office of presidency. So if the President of Ghana currently says something about me, President Akufo-Addo says that Paul Adomochi is a madman, I really can't do much because he will access qualified privilege. When he has finished his government, within 3 years, under the Constitution, I can come and say that when he was a president, he was giving a session address, he said that I was mad, and I'm not mad. Then I can sue him. But if he says I was mad today, he will come under qualified privilege. I can't sue him. The next level of defense is fair comment. Okay, what is fair comment? Fair comment is that what I said is fair. That company X, they are called this. They like doing these things too much. And then the company sues me. And I said that, but it's fair comment. The other day we saw the water, we saw the drink with it, so it's fair comment. It's not, I'm not defaming them, it's fair comment. And fair comment is usually used when you are dealing with big corporations where you don't actually have information. They are corporates, their information is with them, so you don't know, you are speaking on Good Morning Ghana or some panel discussion on radio, then you say something, you can plead fair comment. And then you can also plead justification. Justification that the thing that I said was true. Everything I said about Paul Adom is true. And if you take me to the court, I will show that it is true. That's how Kennedy has succeeded today. He pleaded justification. He said, everything I'm saying about Anas is true. Let's go to the trial. I will show you. And we will show you how the judge said it. And then the last one is consent. Consent means that don't listen to Paul Adom. He knew that I was going to say that. So it didn't take him by surprise. So if he comes to say, so I come and say that, oh, I know Paul Adom very well. He eats a lot. He can eat 1,000 bowls of fufu and he will smoke cigarettes the whole day. He will be drunk the whole day. And I go to his house and he's always drunk whiskey. Yes, you go and say those things. And I sue him. He says, oh, but I told him, he knows. I sent him a text that I'm going on Good Evening Ghana. I'm going to say these things about you. And he sent me laughter. So he knew about it. That's consent. That's in consent. You cannot sue. Okay, so now these are the defenses available. Let's see what happened. All right. Kennedy Japan argued on the basis of fair comment and justification. That was his defense. He said it's fair and it's justified. All right. Fair comment. Let's deal with it. Honest and fair commentary by way of comment and criticism of public interest. Okay, all right. We've dealt with this. I've said that already. Kennedy Japan argued on the basis of fair comment and justification. All right. So fair comment, all of this must be present. One, it must be a matter of public interest. For you to be able to, for the fair comment, the defense of fair comment to accrue to you, or justification, all of these three elements must be present. That the matter that you have disclosed is a matter of public interest. That the comment must be founded on facts. That the thing that you are saying, somebody is a thief, somebody is a blackmailer, somebody is a criminal, it must be founded on facts. And that the comment must be an opinion. That based on those facts, this is the opinion that you have formed. So that's the defense. Let's move on very quickly. Justification is as follows. A defendant who raises the defense of justification to a defamation suit says that the words he published are wholly or substantially true. He assumes that the burden of proving the truth of the words published, full stop. A defense of justification is an absolute defense to a defamation action at common law. All right. You also see that in the justification, it says that he, Kennedy Japan, assumes the burden of proving the truth of the words published. Okay, let's move on. This is the ruling of the court now. All right. So now we are finalizing, isn't it? We are getting to the end. The ruling of the court is here. So we know what Anas said. We know how Kennedy defended himself. We have seen how the burden of proof has shifted from Anas to Kennedy Japan. We don't know whether Kennedy, we know now that the court agreed with Kennedy, but we are now going to find out how Kennedy justified his claims. All right. So this is the court's holding. The court held that Kennedy Japan's statements were made in the public interest to expose the corruption that was ongoing in the camp of Anas. The court uses the word corruption and also uses the word ongoing and uses the expression the camp of Anas. So that's quite interesting. The court held that Kennedy Japan's statements were made in the public interest to expose the corruption in the camp of Anas. All right, how did the court come to that conclusion? Let's move on. 2, the court held that Kennedy Japan was able to prove the truth in his allegations against Anas. All right, this is what the judge said. Let's begin. This is about a paragraph and a half, so let's read it carefully. Corruption rating agencies have never been kind to Ghana in their ratings. Full stop. That's the judge's opening remarks in this part. Corruption rating agencies, he says, have never been kind to Ghana in their ratings. As to how Anas and his team select their subject persons is a matter shrouded in secrecy. But how do they choose their subject persons out of the large number of corrupt Ghanaians? Question mark. All right. As things stand, persons selected may just be the unlucky ones, since some of those not selected may be worse than those selected. Okay, I get it. So he's making the point that